This video will be mostly about the 2024 movie Wicked, Part 1. Part 2 is already planned for next November. This image is from Teen Vogue. This movie is being promoted very, very heavily. There are a bunch of Instagram posts on how to dress like this Elfie, or Elphaba, the green one. The movie has been on the best movies list for 2024 for over a month at least, but was only released in the US on November 22nd. So there's a lot of propaganda and advertising around it. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and it's a musical. A commenter on one of my last videos said, "I looked at the trailer and it looks like a modern-day high-tech version of The Wizard of Oz, except it seems to have much more occultism thrown in, complete with burning effigies and special effects to greatly entice viewers into witchcraft, kind of like Harry Potter on steroids." The name is certainly fitting, and the views on the trailer are already over 15 million, so sadly a lot of people are already being drawn into this. And the numerical date of the release is not any surprise either. I have a feeling that one could literally spend weeks breaking down all the occult stuff in this movie. And I'm sure that commenter is right about spending a lot of time breaking down this, but I'm probably just going to do this one video, and I will likely miss a lot, but I did watch it for research purposes. The Wicked musical is based on Gregory Maguire's 1995 book, Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West, which takes place before the events of Frank Baum's 1900s novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and the 1939 film adaptation of The Wizard of Oz. So this movie expounds on the Wizard of Oz fairy tale / demon tale, children's books published in the early 1900s by Frank Baum, the Theosophist. The same books the original occult MK Ultra programming movie The Wizard of Oz were based on, and also the Broadway play Wicked that was so widely advertised. Frank Baum, the author of the original Oz books, was a regarded member of the Theosophical Society. I covered that yesterday in my video Golden Voyager. Now I will read what another member of the Theosophical Society, Alice Bailey, wrote regarding the externalization of the hierarchy. She wrote, "The externalization is the process by which the masses are gently prepared for the future, as those controlling the world from behind the scenes gradually make themselves known through increasingly explicit signs." Theosophy is still relevant today. James Dyson, the smart product technocrat, who is actually Sir James Dyson, Knight of the Crown, who is the largest landowner in the UK aside from the British royals, is a Theosophist. He wrote about that in a prologue to a Rudolf Steiner book that was republished. Now I'm going to read from the Harvard paper that was published by Harvard researchers and a director in July of this year about aliens, referring to their crypto-terrestrial hypothesis, with crypto-terrestrials being referred to as fairies and elves. This is from the paper. Aliens might be living among us. The possibility of something linked to or likened to earthbound angels, creatures that are perhaps of a magical, supernatural origin like fairies, elves, and nymphs. The ultra-terrestrial hypothesis that UAP may represent the activities of non-human intelligence already present in the Earth's environment, sequestered terrestrial cultures existing alongside us in distinct stealth. End of quote. So is that what Frank Baum, the Theosophist, was doing with his books that have been carried forward in Hollywood and on Broadway? So before I move from this screen, notice the portal. There are a lot of portals represented in this movie. And I'm going to go ahead and play the trailer.
Fellow Ozians, the Wicked Witch of the West is dead.
Don't let her get away!
Let me tell you the whole story. Our paths did cross. At school. Oh, you're green.
I am.
Together we're unlimited. She had her secrets.
absolutely remarkable.
There is no fight we cannot win. Just you and I defying gravity.
Why is it you're always causing some sort of commotion?
I don't cause commotions. I am one. Some of us are just different. Listen to me. You can do anything.
Kiss me goodnight. I'm defying gravity, and you can pull me down.
I know.
Just follow the road. It's gonna lead you right to me.
So if you care to find me to the western sky,
The best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy.
This wicked witch. Don't be afraid. It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
the wizard that there is or was is ever gonna bring me down.
Ariana Grande plays Glinda, the supposed good witch's character. Cynthia Erivo plays the Witch of the West, whose name in the story is Elphaba or Elfie. The elf reference of her name is no accident. See here in this interview, she is dressed as an elf, and that's why she's green. These two have appeared on a lot of talk shows promoting the movie, apparently, and they are always acting very strange, crying about it and holding hands, and overly dramatic and emotional about the movie. Cynthia Erivo is an LGBTQ spokesperson, and there are a lot of rainbow symbols in the movie Wicked. Ariana Grande has proclaimed in other interviews that she is a literal witch in real life. In other news and science propaganda, there have been very recent articles published that align with the Harvard paper and their crypto-terrestrial hypothesis of fairies and elves. This article says a new model based on the famous alien hunting Drake equation suggests that some parallel universes within the multiverse could have higher chances of containing extraterrestrial life than our own universe. Note that Frank Drake, the Harvard astrophysicist, also had a project named for the Wizard of Oz books by Frank Baum, the Theosophist, and that was a SETI project, a search for extraterrestrials experiment titled Project Ozma, named after Princess Ozma from the original Wizard of Oz books. Notice here that orbs were chosen for the photograph in this article. The Wicked movie begins with Glinda arriving in Oz in an orb. I'm convinced that these orbs have been appearing to occultists for a long time because they have been summoning them. Glinda appeared in the last of the 14 original Oz books, and that one was published in 1920, and here is the cover with orbs all over it. This book features a city which is a reference to the semi-submerged temple of Isis in Egypt. This one. The movie Wicked definitely alluded to the Emerald City being a reference to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, writings which were lost. But back to the orbs. Nowadays, they are literally appearing everywhere. I personally have not seen one, but many others have. I've covered that in several videos. See my playlist titled Orbs Are Spirit Beings Manifesting in Our Frequency. The videos in that playlist feature a lot of orbs on album art, and in that playlist there is a video titled Falling Angels, which includes footage of an orb that was summoned from a guy who attended a summoning event, according to him. That Falling Angels video also includes the story of a witness who used to summon them, he said, and who told me that the elites summoned them and pay people a lot of money to do that for them also. One of the ways they summon the spirit beings is using circles and pentagrams, and sometimes pentagrams inside a circle. Some examples of the circle would be the circles drawn over and over at CERN with the Large Hadron Collider and the other supposed particle accelerators. Another circle used for summoning was described in the OTO ritual book of How to Create a Homunculus. The circle is drawn around a woman impregnated using in vitro, similar to most, I think except for one of Elon Musk's children, or by in vitro. So they place a woman inside the circle and do other rituals to invoke the spirit to incarnate the homunculus. And I covered that in my video titled Planetary Intelligence. Examples of the pentagrams are the one used by Marina Abramovic in one of her rituals in 1974, the lesser ritual of the pentagram, which was originally developed by the OTO. And that one is inside a circle. A pentagram at Half Moon Bay Park in Ontario was used for summoning a fallen angel, which I covered in my video titled Falling Angels. That one had colored balls at each point, as is commonly used in candle magic. The 4 points represent earth, fire, wind, water, and the spirit is the fifth element for the fifth point. That one was inside a circle. The one in the forest at Fontainebleau in France, with the fifth point facing the castle, representing an inverted star, which is a symbol of the devil, and the street grid around Washington, D.C. See, these roads are cut through other typical street grids in a grid pattern, and these roads make a pentagram with the fifth point facing down towards the White House. But back to the movie. I wanted to talk a little bit more about Elfie, the Wicked Witch of the West turned protagonist in the Wicked Oz movie and books. First, I'm going to play a little from one of her interviews.
Makes you special, that your queerness is beautiful, that I love you. Alphaba is just like you, and she understands what it feels like to be alone and to feel different, but that doesn't make you any less special than you were born to be.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, definitely a reference to elves, like the elven fairies in The Lord of the Rings, which is why she is dressed like an elf in this interview, and why she is green in the movie, and hence the name Elfie. Elves were referenced in the Harvard paper published over the summer. Again, the one that said aliens might be living among us, the possibility of something likened to earthbound angels, creatures that are perhaps of magical, supernatural origin like fairies, elves, and nymphs. This elven race is referred to in Gary Wayne's book, The Genesis 6 Conspiracy. The elven fairy culture dates back to the Tuatha De Danann and the Scythian kings. They were reported to light the way in the kingly tribe of the Ring Lord's tradition, the Shining Ones of Tuatha De Danann. The elven queens and kings of the Norse dynasties possessed magical power and were known alternatively as elves. Gary writes in his books, quote, "The Shining Ones of the elven fairy race will have a claim to the false messianic bloodline. Albigins are the elven bloodline that traced its matriarchal bloodlines back through Mary Magdalene, Miriam, Basemath, and Lilith. Albigensian means the bloodline of fate or fairies." So I know all of this about elves and fairies, as the false messiah may sound a little crazy unless you know history and prehistory, which Gary Wayne does. And I guarantee you that the author of the Oz books, the Theosophist, Frank Baum, also knows history and prehistory. And also those at the top responsible for promoting these movies because they're taught it. We are not taught it, but they are. Obviously, the Harvard researchers and directors who published the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis know it and are taught it as well. And also, don't forget that the Elven Kings are also listed in Gardner's Realm of the Ring Lord's book in the genealogy chart. Elfie defies gravity in the movie with riding her broom. She goes extremely fast, kind of like the orbs and UFOs we see in videos on the internet sometimes. The channel Latchkey Hustle has a lot of videos of these things, and I will link his channel in this video. So, Elfie's broom here in the movie looks a lot like these brooms. Those are the Beatles, and that's from one of their album covers. Elfie has the power to see the future. She sings, "I've just had a vision, almost like a prophecy, a celebration throughout Oz that's all to do with me." The same commenter from earlier said, "I imagine the name Oz has great significance in the occult, since we have people like Ozzy Osbourne, who had a top-selling album called The Blizzard of Oz, and even had a song called Mr. Crowley. And then we also have the TV celebrity Dr. Oz, who I believe is actually a wolf in disguise." A professor at the university that Glinda and Elfie attend in the movie is a goat named Dr. Dillamond, who reveals that he's particularly fond of poppies. In the original Wizard of Oz movie, poppies lull Dorothy and the gang to sleep as they venture through a poppy field. In the Wicked movie, Elfie floats Dillamond's poppies around the room, causing her classmates to fall asleep. So there's your reference to Pharmakia. The goat's voice is played by Peter Dinklage, the dwarf from Game of Thrones, so I guess that fits. There's a library at the university in the movie, and the course texts are Ozian spellbooks, each one carefully designed and detailed by the production team, it says. In the Wicked movie, the Grimoire is a magical spellbook that they referred to as an ancient book of wisdom. The book is also known as the Lesser Key of Solomon on Earth. In the story, Elfie's ability to read the Grimoire is a result of her being born to parents from two worlds, with the wizard being Elphaba's or Elfie's biological father. So the Grimoire is obviously a grimoire, like the one featured in A Discovery of Witches. Those books that originated from an Oxford author that turned into a TV series produced with the support of the Welsh government. Thanks for listening.